Hello, my name is Nosheen and I'm applying for Associate Fellowship of the Higher Education Academy. I will start my journey from a student, I will not go very back into the details, but I will start from my MPhil in physical chemistry. Then I moved on to my PhD, where I learned a lot from my supervisor, research associates, lab fellows, and the technicians. But I learned also a lot from my group presentations, the report writing, and the assessment by the Viva, and especially the presentations at the international conferences helped me a lot to learn. During my PhD, I took the faculty training courses to get involved in graduate teaching as assistant. In my first year, I was appointed as a demonstrator for the report writing workshops, which was a very good experience of first year and undergraduates of about 25 to 30 students. I helped them a lot in report writing and using of the softwares, giving them feedback during the making of their report. But I will not discuss with you in details. As a case study one, I will discuss with you my appointment as a teaching assistant in the lab, as a lab demonstrator for the second year undergraduate students. And as a case study two, I will discuss with you my marking experience by the Marking College. I also get involved in various outreach activities, but I will not discuss with you in very much details. So as a case study one, as a demonstrator for the second year undergraduates, it was consisted of a small learning groups of about 10 students per group, and this is a basic concept which is told by a lot of people, but here I will cite Ravillard, who's told that the small learning group is an essential part of the undergraduate study. It was a good experience. Before the start of my duties were the preparation of the experiment, take the attendance, risk assessment, use of equipment, and check the calculations, and then assess them by the Viva and giving them feedback during the lab and after the lab. I will tell you in more details. Before the start of the experiment, I have to read all the theory of the experiment, prepare the notes for the introductory talks, lesson planning in such a way to divide the whole timing so that the students will finish their work in time, do their basic calculations, and then check them with them during the experiment. And I also make the possible questions and answers and prepare the questions and marking scheme and follow the marking scheme for them, which was basically appointed by the rubric, which was basically made by the university, and it was uploaded on the university website as a rubric. During, I make sure the basic thing is that they are safe during the experiment. Then I have to check their lab books, how did they prepare, check their calculations, and tell them about the equipment use. And I make sure the most important thing is that to respect each individual, because during this undergraduate study I found people from various backgrounds, from various countries, but I have to, and they might have some language problems and like these things, but I have to encourage and respect each individual. I also try my best to encourage them to think what, why, and how they are doing the experiment. I also encourage them to ask the questions even out of our lab. The next day, after the lab is finished, I assess them by the Viva. I analyze their data, what they have done, and then I ask them the different questions to critically analyze them. That did they understand the application of the experiment and why they are doing the experiments? And if they have not learned them, then I then give them feedback how to improve them and make the fruitful discussion with them that why you are not getting to learn to this point. Assessment is described by many people, but here I will cite the Roundtree, who underlie the assessment procedures such as truth, fairness, trust, and social justice. For this, I will again thanks to the rubric because it has told us a very clear marking scheme for the students. So I follow the rubric to mark each and every student in the same way, so as to develop justice among them. The reflection of this on the students, I will think that they get introduction of the experiment, they get to know how to the equipment use, and they also critically analyze the experiment. For example, my experiment, which I demonstrated in the for the to the undergraduates, it was about the surfactants. They use surfactants in their daily life, but they don't know the application of these of the experiment in the daily life. But when I ask them, talk them, and discuss them, then they can critically think of the experiment. They can analyze the data and also the presentation of the data, and also they learn a lot from their mistakes. For example, if they have not learned during the experiment, then they surely understand it during the viva and other things. As a case study too, I will discuss here as report marking. Report marking for the fortunately, I mark the same report of the same students who do in the lab, and I give them feedback to the students. For the report marking, before I start the report marking, I do a lot of research survey, read the experiment quickly, and make the notes of the important points. And as I did told you that I mark the same group of the experiment, so I give the brief demonstration to the students before they start the report, so that they don't lose the marks. During, I respect each individual. I mainly I mainly emphasize on the citations used, and also they avoid the plagiarism. And after that, I give them feedback whether it is good, bad, or how to improve it. And I focus on a formative feedback, which here I will cite the Shout at the Florida University, who focus on formative feedback such as which is defined as the information communicated to the learners that is intended to modify the thinking and to improve their learning. For example, if they have not learned anything from the lab or during the lab, but when they write the report, then I give them such feedback so that they will learn a lot and never do the mistake again. The reflection of this on the report writing is, I think, to be a very high because they get to know of the structure of the report, they improve their writing skills, they improve their data presentation, and also they can analyze the literature and especially the sites, how to cite it. Um, and I think the report writing has made them to improve themselves a lot in the future, writing when they will write a thesis or when they will go hopefully to the PhD or any in the field, then that helps them a lot. In conclusion, what I get is that the training courses, along with my academic background, helped me a lot to behave to do good in my graduate teaching as a graduate teacher. From the students' experience and their assessment, I learn a lot, and hopefully the students have learned a lot. Teaching makes me to behave in a responsible way and act as an ambassador for the university. And also from this training, graduate teaching assistant, I learn a lot to respect each individual and to discuss with them a lot of the ideas and to listen to them and respect each individual. So, in conclusions, I have learned a lot, and hopefully the students have also learned a lot because they seem to be improved when they come from the first day. For example, when I start my marking or when I but they seem to be improved. For example, I can see it in like the way that student improvement shows when from the group 1 till the middle of the semester or the end of the semester when each ETAs give them the feedback that it shows on their behavior and they improve in their performance during the lab and also in the report writing. So at the end, thank you so much for listening to me.